Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address this case? I'm sorry.
I have one question of Mr. Tarr. The adjacent lots, Mr. Barsky testified to the two adjacent lots, the one to the left and one to the right. What about the properties behind it? I mean, you wouldn't cure all your variances, but did you approach any of the people of the two adjacent lots that you abut to see if you could pick up additional land area? Or pick up the lots themselves?
Well, here's the expanded view. So all the homes behind this lot are also non-conforming. So there would be no way to purchase land without making them more non-conforming.
Right. Or acquire the whole lot. Did you approach the people behind it? Ask them?
No. It was my understanding that to cure the hardship, you would have to, purchase enough to make your lot compliant. They were already non-compliant, so.
Or the whole lot. I just want to know, maybe, Derek, are they required to approach adjacent landowners, either to see if they can purchase a part or all of the lot?
I'm not sure if it's a requirement. I may defer to Karen. I think it's a common legal practice to illustrate the hardship.
I mean, it wouldn't cure all the variances, right, but it would cure one, possibly one of the three. But by zoning, are you required to approach all abutting property owners?
Yes. I mean, I think that with respect to satisfying the proofs for the hardship, the applicant is required to contact adjacent property owners unless, as they're testifying tonight, it would not cure the hardships for them. So their testimony is one.
You wouldn't cure frontage. You wouldn't cure frontage and minimum lot width, but it would cure land area. The size of the property.
Yeah. No, he's less than quarter of an acre.
Are there are existing homes on the lots behind you, correct?
Number 9.
Yeah.
Number 9.
0.25.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Cohen, although, I mean, I certainly understand your comment, but I don't think I agree that the applicant would be required to buy that property with the house on it, particularly since it still is not going to address all the nonconformities here. The testimony is, I believe, that
well, the acquisition of land from any of the adjacent lots increases their degree of non-compliance.
Yes.
Well, lot 3 is compliant now, but I believe the testimony is that
if to make it compliant, we would have to acquire 25 feet.
No, that's only part of my question. What I'm asking is,
asking whether a formal.
do you have to make a formal request of adjacent property owners either to buy a portion or the whole lot? What does the ordinance require, or what do we require?
It's not the ordinance. It's case law that has been developed that would address how an applicant would prove to you that they have a hardship.
Okay.
And
requirement that each one of the individual hardships has, if one of them can be addressed by acquiring additional property, that whether or not the developer or owner has that burden. So that if you could cure one of the variances that you're asking for, are you required to do everything that you could to do that, or no, because they would still need to come before us and they would still need to get a variance, even though it would be for 2 items instead of 3, they don't have to do it? In other words, do you have to make the purchase only when it will allow you to then not seek any variance?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But, and perhaps Mr. Tarr wants to clarify, is the lot in the rear that's causing these concerns. So if you would,
So we're looking at Lot 9, which is
Correct.
immediately the rear, and my reading of the slide says that that itself is a quarter of an acre, 0.2 acres, 0.25. So it's just, if it's complying, it's right on the nose. There's no land to be given up, or it would become non-compliant.
Right, but his question was, what if you purchased the entire property, removed the house, and took that lot area and added it into what you...
Right, and it's my understanding of the case law and the commentator, Mr. Cox, who wrote the book that we all got in the class, that the cases talk about acquiring a sliver of land, a piece of land, a part of their lot, if the adjacent lot was in fact of a size where they could sell you a strip of land to make your lot compliant, area, width, or whatever the criteria was. I've never seen a case that said you had to buy your neighbor's house, tear his house down, and have a lot that ran from Harrison Street all the way back to Ewing.
I'm just asking the
Yeah,
question
I've never seen a case of
whether
that.
it's, you make the representation, you check with, and you check with adjacent neighbors.
Right.
I just want to know if that's a requirement or just a
Right.
suggestion, or how is it?
This applicant has come before you a number of times with drawings such as this, where we've always said, well, it's just not, there's no purpose in it, there's no
Right.
goal in it. So the question was, is it nevertheless required that you go and ask, can I buy your house?
Right.
Our position is, where it's demonstrable that it would not cure the variance, then it was not necessary to visit the neighbor. Where it was possible to help cure it, I believe you must ask the neighbor if you can buy land.
It would cure one variance. but-
Any one of them could be
It
cured.
doesn't eliminate all of them.
No.
I recognize that. Okay.
You apparently wish to say something as you come forward right by the microphone and have your hand up. So would you be sworn in? I think this front microphone is a better one to use. So you'll have to give your name and address to our attorney, and then raise your hand and swear to be truthful.
sir, would you first state
Name
your...
is Jacquees,
And your address?
Fresco, second name Fresco, and the address 512 Ewing Street.
Sir, now we'll just ask you to raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
Ewing Street is a very narrow street, and currently there is a serious problem on the street because when anyone pulls out of a lot, there's almost a car that's likely to be hit on the other side. And it was not apparent from the plan that was shown what provision has been made to keep cars on the property rather than on the street.
I guess I can pull up the survey here. So the home that we're proposing or thinking of building will have a two-car garage, and because of the requirements for setbacks, it will have a substantial amount of driveway space to park another, definitely two or more cars. So in our experience with the newer homes, we haven't had a problem with people parking on the street, usually between the garages and the longer driveway because of the setbacks.
But several of the houses on Ewing Street, on both sides of the street, don't have garages.
Right. So I think this will be, I know the people that were living there were parking on the street. They have a little space right there in front of the lot.
But that's
So,
dangerous.
right, so that's actually, it's going to be better now. That's going to be out, and the little strip of rock they have there to park on, which is half on the street and half on their lot, that's actually going to be landscaped, and I think there's going to be a lot more room on the lot for people to park.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to comment or ask questions? Would you come forward again then? Or come forward?
My name is Jeffrey Spear. I live at 492 North Harrison, but our lot is the one that is back we're on the end of the block there, 5410 right there. So we're 3 houses down on Ewing.
Lot 5?
It's lot 5.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
We swear affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. Just in general, I do understand that the zoning board does case by case, and I understand what the Chairman Roy said about aesthetics not being a matter of immediate concern, and I understand that we need to take things up with the town council. I want to say that looking at what's been happening in our neighborhood generally, case by case, it is altering the nature of Princeton. I served 3 terms on the school board, and one of the problems that we've had all along is that the town is dividing into very well-to-do, prosperous, million-dollar homes and people who live in public housing and assistance. It's producing a class split in the town that is very uncomfortable, and you can see it house by house, non-conforming aesthetically. I appreciate that you say conformity, but when conformity is a matter of measurements, it is not to the eye. And our town is being speckled with things that look like they were transported by a hurricane from some suburban tract development. And it is changing the nature of the town. Now, it is not a requirement, but it would be a real courtesy to have a slide showing what the proposed house here would actually look like, even if it's not, we saw it on the commercial property, that there were drawings and presentations of front, so the neighbors would have an idea of what is being erected next to where they live. Now, I know that may not be a requirement, but it seems to be just a mark of, you might say, politesse, right? That it would be a matter of courtesy to show people what they're going to be living next to. And so I would say also, as a challenge to architects, draw within the lines. Every time you offer a variance, it means that somebody has a pre-digested plan and they adjust the lot to plunk their house down on it. And I think that's a bad practice. Architecture should be able to conform to the requirements of the zoning. And we might get some houses of decent size, with a little bit of cleverness perhaps, and that would not stick up. Well, already we have one that's at the maximum height, that's the next house to this one, and make the neighborhood like a mouthful of rotten teeth. And that is my testimony. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You wish to make a comment as well?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Grace Romer from 511 Ewing Street, which is Lot 3 up there.
John Romer, same.
You're
All
both-
right, well, if you both raise your right hand, we'll swear in. Do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you.
So we would like to understand what the proposed house looks like relative to the house that's there.
Please talk into the microphone
Yeah,
rather than...
we would like to
And we
understand.
can hear as
Okay,
well.
well, we would like to understand what the proposed house looks like relative to the footprint and the height and all of that of the house that is there. I can't really look at that other plan and understand what the proposal is, but the lots are very, very tight. So when you ask for variances, I'm not really following what is meant by that.
Okay, so, we've heard from 2 neighbors now
Right.
that are very interested to see what the home will look like. I'm happy at the end of this meeting to make an appointment and come to each of you individually or together and have my architect make a complete set of renderings and plans and sit down and meet with you, and we can do that even before the holidays if you like.
That's very nice, but I understand the purpose of this meeting is for you to walk away with an approval, and I want to know what the bulk is relative to the footprint that is there right now.
So let me deal with that as I've tried at the beginning to explain what the variance is and what it's not. And so let me try again. The lot is undersized. The proposal is to replace the older home with a newer home. Some people conclude that that means that the new home somehow needs a variance because it sticks out over the sidelines, or it's too tall, or it's too much to the front, or it's too big. That is not the case. The only reason that we're here is because the lot is too small. But the dotted lines that Mr. Barsky showed you reflect the setbacks that are required by the town. There's a front setback, and you see the dashed line there, and a side yard, and the rear. He must build within that envelope to a size that's shown on that chart there to percentage of the lot, and he must comply with all of the items on that chart. And he's not asking for any exception from those. The only reason that he's here, as with so many other people on the block, if the house burned down, they'd have to come here to replace their home because the lots are smaller than the zoning. So I hope that helps. It's
Right, yeah.
Actually, if you,
Yeah.
but that doesn't answer her
I know it doesn't.
question.
I know it doesn't.
Right.
But the point is this: for decades, this board has said it cannot look at the home and decide whether it's an okay home. They don't. There are no.
We're actually not asking that. I'm really just asking, okay, we know where the front of the house is now. Where are you proposing to put the front of the house? We know where the same.
We
So
know where
the
the back
front of the
is.
house will be exactly the same as it is now.
For me to do that, I need to hire an engineer.
Uh-huh.
He takes the plans with CAD files, he places it on the lot as, the footprint of the home on the lot, and then it's very clear to see dimensions of exactly where everything is. I haven't gotten to that point yet. That usually happens down the road. But again, I'm happy to put everything together for you and meet and show you. And I
And
commonly
very
do
much
that.
appreciate that, and I'm sure we'll all want to take you up on that. But again, relative to the existing footprint where the front line is, are you saying that the front line is going to be the same? How about the sides? Are the sides going to be the same?
Now they're all the way to, actually beyond the setback, so.
You see on the left-hand side, the house encroaches over the side yard setback, and
We're well aware of that, which is why I'm
the
asking.
new house cannot. It must comply with that dotted line, so it will be further to the center of the lot. As you
Okay.
see that on the other side, the house looks to be a foot or two away from the line, and he could build the house over to the line on that side.
On
You
which
have-
side is that?
On the
On the
right-hand side.
But no further.
But you can't go outside the dotted line without getting an additional separate variance on notice to your
Okay.
neighbors.
Okay, so the front is going to be where it currently is. The
Right.
sides are going to shift a little bit, but essentially the width is going to be the same? Is that what you're saying?
Right, exactly. The width of the home is going to stay the same, plus or minus 1 foot.
And no closer.
because it's okay.
It must stay inside the dash line.
Okay, and how about the
And,
back of the
and the
home?
front of the home will line up with the existing, where the existing home is
Existing
right now.
front, okay,
The back of the home, it's hard for me to say until an engineer plots it.
okay.
But it would be hard for me to imagine that the footprint is going to be substantially bigger than this one because of the other constraints, because of FAR constraints, because of coverage constraints. Not like I would be able to fill in that section. Because of other constraints, I mean, maybe it'll be, a little bit deeper, but certainly nowhere even near that back line. Plus, I like to have a backyard in the
Okay.
home too, obviously.
Okay.
So the front will stay the same. The sides, relatively plus or minus 1 foot, are going to stay. From your house, it's actually going to be pushed further in towards the lot. And then once an engineer plots it and I have, all the resources to me, like I said, I'm happy to come meet with you and talk to you about it. And
We would appreciate that.
yeah, and I
think
always
from the
always
point of
meet the
view of
neighbors
the
before I
zoning
start.
board,
So
the absence of a concept of what the house is going to look on a property is causing a lot of trouble to the neighbors and to the board and wasting an awful lot of people's time. I know you do not have to provide it, and you may not yet know what you're going to build on that property, but interaction with the neighbors before you come for your C1 and having them fairly secure in terms of what you're allowed to build and are planning to build would save an awful lot of discussion, which, although not pointless, we're unable to do anything about.
Right.
The town council are the only people
Right,
that
no,
can
we
help you.
understand, but it's sort
And
of
you have to
information
bug
sharing.
them, because we want them to be
Right, but
bugged
as a
as well.
civilian, I can't look at that and make any sense and understand
would
what
the-
the bulk of the house is going to be like, and, you know, if the proposal is to make it basically like right on top of my house, so.
Derek, we were given floor plans and elevations.
Yes, you were.
Was that part of the application?
Yes, it was. I note the house is 3 feet wider than permitted, but I was told it was like a conceptual idea of what the house would look like.
And that was part of the application?
Yes.
So that was available?
So that was available.
Right,
in-
right, many of us are working people, we're not able to get there during working hours, so.
So
yeah,
Daniel's
it's helpful to hear that
offered
now.
to come see you.
Yes, and we appreciate that. So I do have 2 more questions then, and then turn it over. So the garage then, is this 2-car garage is going to be within the container of the house?
Yes.
So the footprint? Okay.
Yes.
And then things like the fencing, we have fences already on both sides, and I know that with your other developments, you put up new fences. Is that something that we can talk about and understand what your plan
Again,
is?
these are not things the zoning
Right.
board can deal
Okay.
with.
But the answer is yes,
I
of course, I'm
understand
going to
your
come see you.
concern, But
And-
if we can't do anything about it, it's not useful to
Right.
the
Yeah, I think
evening's
this is really the
discussion.
only information we had, so it's, you know, not having been through this before, we don't really know what the...
So good advice to try as best we can beforehand, but...
Well, before building, you can certainly go
for
and
sure.
show people in the
Very soon.
neighborhood
Very
what
soon.
you're intending to put on there and take cognizance of their commentary.
Are we allowed to see the plans now?
Yeah.
Of course, you can see anything that is available.
Okay.
We are going to make a decision within the next 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll be very,
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
sorry,
you
I'll be very brief. I am Hetty DeSimone. I'm the neighbor on the other side
were
of
on
the
the other
house.
side.
Correct.
Ma'am, we'll just swear in. You swear affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful.
Yes, it
Thank
will
you.
be. One point as far as the square footage of the house to be concerned about is that we have a significant drainage issue, especially in the back of the house. The grade of the property goes down, and the property behind the lot gets a great deal of water in their yard. So the greater the land area that you cover, the worse the drainage problem is going to get.
Well, I can just quickly address that. I'm sure the engineering department, you could talk to them about it, but part of the requirements when doing a new home is stormwater maintenance, and in our experience, the water problem that was there previously, it always gets a lot better. The town requires that you tie leader drains from the gutters into underground stormwater. A lot of times they ask for basins to pick up some pump water. So every single time we built a home, neighbors have come to me actually saying that the water is better after the property's regraded and all the site work improvements have been done. And the engineering department makes us do that. But we're happy to because it does help with water. So
Okay,
I think you'll be happy when it's done in that sense.
okay. Very good, thank you.
Good, thank you very much. Okay. So,
Anybody else?
I think they're all having a discussion, but
Okay.
let's go into executive session and make a decision. My 3 minutes has run out.
Yes.
What think is that? It's a very standard C1, in my opinion. I think Bosky has heard the issues from the neighbors and has agreed to interact with them before the actual building is put up. That's the best we can do to help that along. And I think in the future, if Mr. Barsky comes to the board, it would be very appropriate, A, to have talked to the neighbors before you come to the board, and B, and I believe I told you that 1 or 2 meetings ago, and also to provide some sense for the neighbors as to what is going to be built on the property. There's nothing the zoning board can do about it. You've got every right to do what you've requested to do, but it's quite clear that there's concern, and it's not good for your reputation or the digestive tracts of the neighbors to allow this to continue unnecessarily. So do we have a motion and a seconder or commentary to make before?
Same thing again.
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve a C1.
So we have a motion, a seconder.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a seconder. Can you call the roll, please, Claudia?
Ms. Clayton? Yes. Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Ms. Rockstrom?
I'm abstaining.
Ms. Suri?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yes.
Thank you, it's approved.
Thank you.